Ever since I was a kid, Spider-Man has always been one of my all-time favorite Marvel superheroes. So today, I thought I'd dive into Spider-Man's greatest animated moments in Marvel's classic shows. So without further ado, here's my complete animated history of Spider-Man. Let's go. What's going on all my cartoon junkies? My name is JC and I just finished watching every animated cartoon that features Marvel's Spider-Man, all the way from the first appearance in the 1960s to 2025 with your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that just came out this year. And before I do get started, please make sure that you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date on more character histories that I'm giving you just like this. So since Spider-Man's comic debut in 1962, the character has been one of Marvel's most enduring heroes. While he's swung through live action TV shows and blockbuster films, it's animation that has consistently kept him alive for a new generation of fans. Nearly every decade since the 1960s has brought a fresh version of Spidey on screen, each with its own voice actor, artistic style, and interpretation of Peter Parker's world. Now let's trace Spider-Man's animated journey era by era, starting with the first appearance in 1967 through 1970 with the version of the character featuring the first animated take on the wall crawler that introduced audiences to Peter Parker balancing life as a college student with superhero duties. Though the stories were simple, they cemented many core elements in Spidey's world. And this animated show, of course, was just called Spider-Man. The voice casting featured Paul Soles providing Spider-Man's voice, delivering a mix of youthful energy and responsibility. His performance gave Spidey a tone that stuck with audiences long after the series ended. Now, as far as the animation style and impact, the show was cheaply produced with limited motion and repeated backgrounds, yet it became so iconic because of the superhero himself. Its unforgettable theme song, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can, you've probably heard it, I don't need to sing it for you, is still referenced in modern media. I also loved hearing that tune in one of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man film later on when we did finally see him on the big screen in movie theaters.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man.
The series also accidentally created internet history as one episode spawned the now legendary pointing Spider-Man meme, and I'll probably put it somewhere up here, and it is a moment to this day that continues to live in pop culture. Now, this does lead me to another show that followed after in 1979, although this wasn't really Spider-Man, it still is a variation of Spider-Man in some way, and it still did show Spider-Man. And this was in the show Spider-Woman. The version of the character featured a Spider-Man that didn't headline a new animated series in the 1970s, he guest starred in this show, and his appearance kept him present in Marvel's TV output. Now, as far as the voice acting, Paul Soles reprised his role from the 1967 show, giving continuity for longtime fans. As far as the animation style and impact, Spidey's role was small, but his inclusion showed how popular he remained, even in someone else's series. The animation style was kind of similar as well to the 1967 version. Now, this also leads me to the Spider-Man show in 1981 that also aired to 1983. This version of the character saw Spider-Man as Marvel launched a solo series with Peter Parker facing villains like Magneto, Red Skull, and familiar members of his rogues gallery. Guest heroes like Captain America and Namor also dropped by in the show. Now, with this voice acting, it was slightly different because we had Ted Schwartz take on the role, giving Peter a more straightforward, heroic tone compared to earlier performances. Now, as far as the animation style and impact of this, despite debuting the same day as Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, this series was overshadowed and he was remembered as the other 1980s Spidey show. Now, this leads me to, of course, the more iconic Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends that aired from 1981 to 1983. Now, this version of the character featured Spidey expanding Peter's world by teaming him up with such other heroes as Iceman and Firestar, forming the Spider Friends. It gave Spider-Man a sense of belonging in a larger Marvel universe. I remember seeing those stills and some of those flashbacks as a kid as I got older and thinking, whoa, honestly, this is what I thought was the first version of Spider-Man, but I was wrong. Now, as far as the voice acting, this featured Dan Gilvezan, who voiced Spidey, balancing humor and leadership while interacting with a a rotating cast of guest stars. Now, as far as the animation style and impact with this, it had bright colors, team type of format to the show, and crossovers with characters like the X-Men and Doctor Strange that made this show a fan favorite. So for many, it was the first time Marvel's shared universe came alive on TV screens. Now, this leads me to Spider-Man cameos in the 1990s, and this started in 1994, and I thought I'd just throw it in because there was a lot of times where we started to see Spider-Man throughout the 90s. Now, this version of the character as Spidey before he got his own major show, appearing briefly in X-Men the animated series with web slinging and all during the Phoenix Saga episode series. Now, with the voice acting in this, we got a silent cameo with no credited performance, but it's still awesome to see him, and I remember watching that as a kid thinking, that's Spider-Man. Now, with that animation style and impact, this moment features some vivid colors with that iconic show with a lot of movement and also a style that we weren't used to presented in the 90s. This moment hinted at Marvel's growing interconnected animated universe, and it also geared us up for the next one that's legendary, one of my favorite shows that featured Spider-Man in Spider-Man the animated series that aired from 1994 to 1998. This Fox Kids classic followed Peter Parker with this version of the character as both student and superhero, weaving together story arcs and adapting famous comic plot lines like the Clone Saga and Secret Wars. Loved those episodes. Those are favorites of mine for sure. And as far as the voice acting, this featured Christopher Daniel Barnes, giving an iconic Spider-Man performance that was so dramatic, and he gave emotional delivery often with his performance, capturing both Peter's struggles and Spidey's wisecracking persona. That's kind of what I feel like developed the character a lot more as we got him over the years. It was one of the blueprints that I would say set the foundation, especially for the movie versions of the character himself. Now, when it came to the animation style and impact, this featured Spidey with darker tones, detailed character designs, and serialized storytelling. The series is still one of the most respected Spider-Man adaptations to today, especially for me. I'm telling you, this was one of my favorite cartoons growing up. Now, this led to Spider-Man Unlimited, which aired from 1999 to 2001. Now, this show sent Peter Parker to a strange counter-Earth where he donned a new nanotech suit and faced the high evolutionary hybrid creatures. This voice acting, it featured Rhino Romano voicing Spidey with determination. Though fans were split on the drastic change in direction, it was still fun to watch. Now, as far as this animation style and impact, this show explored experimental visuals and an ambitious premise that couldn't really save the show from cancellation, sadly. It ended on a cliffhanger, making it one of the most polarizing Spider-Man cartoons to this day. Next, we got Spider-Man, the new animated series that aired in 2003. Now, this version of the character aired on MTV, oddly enough, and this series served as a loose continuation of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movie, though later films kind of contradicted it, and it caused a lot of back and forth from fans for sure. I remember watching this thinking, wow, this is very different. And when it came to the voice acting, we got Neil Patrick Harris, aka Doogie Howser himself, voicing Peter Parker, offering a sarcastic and witty interpretation. I actually didn't mind his version. Now, when it came to the animation style, this is where it was done entirely in CGI. The animation was bold but divisive for sure. Its darker tone stood apart from past series, and I would probably say this is my least liked animation style out of a lot of the shows because it didn't really translate that well, but at that time, a lot of studios and shows were trying to do a lot of CGI. Now, this is where we finally got the Spectacular Spider-Man, which is probably one of my other favorite Spider-Man animated shows that aired from 2008 to 2009. I remember being in school and thinking, man, this was such a good adaptation of Spider-Man. Now, this version of the character featured a returning Peter Parker to his high school years, and this series balanced superhero action with teenage drama better than almost any adaptation, to be honest. That is what I loved about this version. Now, as far as the voice acting, we got Josh Keaton, who gave a widely praised performance, making Spidey sound both youthful and heartfelt. Loved his performance all the way around. When it came to the animation style, we got a lot of fluid animation with sharp storytelling. This series was adored by fans, but tragically cut short after just 2 seasons. Many still argue it's the best Spider-Man cartoon ever made, and honestly, I don't blame the people who try to argue that. Although I grew up off of Spider-Man the animated series, this was still an amazing adaptation of the character. Next, we got Ultimate Spider-Man in 2012 to 2017. Now, this version of the character featured this long-running series that kept Peter Parker in high school, but tied him closely to S.H.I.E.L.D. and the larger Marvel Universe. It even adapted the Spider-Verse in animated form. Now, as far as the voice acting, we got Drake Bell voicing Spidey with a snarky comedic edge. Yes, Drake Bell from Drake and Josh. I actually like this version a lot as well. But as far as the animation style, we got colorful visuals and fourth wall breaking humor that made the show distinct from a lot of its predecessors. Though divisive, its 104 episodes remain the longest Spider-Man run in animated history. Now, this is the part where I get to the crossovers and spin-offs. From 2012 to 2018, we got a lot of different appearances of Spider-Man himself in the animated world. Starting off with the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes in 2012, love that show. Spider-Man appeared, though Josh Keaton's original performance was replaced by Drake Bell to align with Ultimate Spider-Man. Then we got Spider-Man showing himself in Phineas and Ferb with Mission Marvel airing in 2013. It was kind of like a comedic crossover that leaned into more of the parody side. And that was followed by Lego Specials that aired in 2013 to 2020, where Spidey appeared in multiple Lego shorts, blending humor with toy-inspired visuals. Then we got Spider-Man in Marvel Disc Wars, The Avengers, that aired from 2014 to 2015. This was a Japanese anime where Spidey worked as a scientist at Stark Industries. That was very interesting to see as well. Next, we got Marvel Future Avengers that aired from 2017 to 2018 with another Japanese series where Spidey trained young heroes alongside the Avengers. Then we got the Spider-Man show that aired from 2017 to 2020. Now, this version of the character featured such characters as Miles Morales and Spider-Gwen as permanent cast members, skipping the multiverse angle. Now, with that voice acting, we got Robbie Daymond, who brought a more grounded, youthful voice to Peter Parker. Now, when it came to the animation style, we got a little bit more tied into Marvel's other animated shows, and it continued the shared universe approach of Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, as far as the impact with that, we got a lot of tie-in to the Marvel's other animated shows, and it continued the shared universe approach of Ultimate Spider-Man, which is what I think the studio wanted all along, because this led us to the version of the character in the Spider-Verse films, which was shown in theaters in 2018 as well as 2023. 2018, we got Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and in 2023, we got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, this version of the character featured a shifted focus on Miles Morales, where it still included Peter Parker, Gwen Stacy, and countless Spider-Man villains. Now, when it came to the voice acting, Shameik Moore voiced Miles Morales, Jake Johnson voiced Peter B. Parker, and we also got Haley Steinfeld playing Spider-Gwen. All really led the cast when it comes to these movies, and all are praised for emotional depth and humor throughout these movies. Now, when it came to the animation style and impact, we got revolutionary visuals blended with comic book aesthetics and experimental techniques. This has also since won the studio an Academy Award and has reshaped animation itself. And since then, we have also gotten recent appearances of Spider-Man in 2021 until 2024. We got Spider-Man in What If that aired in 2021, and it featured a zombified apocalypse version of Peter wearing Doctor Strange's cloak. That was interesting for sure. Then we got Spidey and His Amazing Friends in 2022. It aired, and I believe it's still going on to this day, but it features a preschool series that shows kid versions of Peter Parker, Miles Morales, and Gwen Stacy. Then we also got Spider-Man in X-Men 97, the reboot of the X-Men animated series that aired in 2024, and it showed brief cameos of the 1990s animated Spider-Man, nodding to fans of interconnected Marvel cartoons. Please, Marvel, if you're watching this, I would love to have a reboot, also continuation of Spider-Man the Animated Series 98. Oh my god, that would be amazing. Let's make that happen. And finally, we end off with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man that aired this year in 2025, and who knows when it's gonna keep going. Hopefully it does, because I'm actually enjoying this version. Now, this version of the character was originally pitched as an MCU prequel. The show was reimagined as its own standalone universe. Here, a Peter Parker faces classic foes like Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Scorpion without MCU restrictions. And we got drastically different versions of the character, as well as a lot of the surrounding characters of him and a lot of his origin story that's starting to come to light just within this first season. Now, as far as the voice casting, we have gotten Hudson Thames playing Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man himself, and honestly, so far he's given an honest, vulnerable type of Peter Parker that I am actually excited to see what else he does does with the character. Now, as far as the animation style, it gives a lot of the comic book type of pop-out style that we're not used to seeing in animation at first. It's giving a lot of people some weary red flags when they showed the trailer, but nonetheless, the animation has kept up so far in this first season, and honestly, I recommend a lot of Spidey fans out there to check it out. It's not the best among a lot of the shows that we have gotten, but I still think it's pretty good and worth watching. Alright guys, so from the limited animation of the 1960s to the groundbreaking artistry of Spider-Verse, Spider-Man's animated journey has constantly evolved while staying true to his core identity. Each era left its own mark, whether it was the catchy theme song of 1967, the serialized storytelling of the 1994 series, the sharp character work of Spectacular Spider-Man, or the visual revolution of Into the Spider-Verse. No matter the style or decade, Spider-Man in animation has remained a constant reminder of why he's one of the most beloved heroes of all time, not just in Marvel. Alright guys, so do you remember these cartoons that featured Spider-Man? And also, did I miss any? Please comment below. But if so, which is your favorite appearance and which do you feel best represents the character? Let me know in the comments below. Last thing before I do go, you guys, please make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date. My name is JC, and until next time, I'm out.